What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Scale News Update. If you're not familiar with the show, this is where we talk about the news topics that happened over the last week in the scale world of RC. If you enjoyed the Scale News Update, hit the like button and let's jump into this week's topics. First for this week, MST has put out a little bit more information on the timeline for when we can expect that DL1, which was their cab over van body. Looks like this is coming the early part of 2022. They usually lead way out in advance with these new bodies that are going to come on kits and things like that. This one appears that it's going to be available January-ish of 2022 at this time at least. This is listed as coming on a CFX chassis, which is a shorter wheelbase, smaller tire chassis. A lot of times this is used with some of the Tamiya hard body options like the YJ body that Tamiya has had for a really long time as well. Beyond that, there hasn't been a ton of information on this body, just some renderings of what we're going to see. I assume that as we get closer to the end of the year or at the January release that we'll see photos of the actual physical product at the very least. I believe that at this point they list it as coming as a kit first. Usually they'll follow on later with an RTR version. Be interesting to see how they put this out there as far as details and things like that. If you've never owned an MST body, they do a really good job. They're nice bodies. Everything feels well made overall. So it'd be exciting to see this. It's an oddball body, but the proportions of it look really good. If you're someone who likes to build kind of off the wall trucks with really small tires and short wheelbases, this could be a perfect platform to really have a lot of options, especially if you want to build a full interior. We'll wait and see when more details come out as far as price, availability, the kit details that are going to come on, and so on. So check back the Scale News Update. We'll make sure and update you when we see more information. Also, if you're interested in the on-road or drift scenes, MST did also show two other new bodies that they're going to be relisting. One is an A90 Supra and one is an E30 BMW. Both just renderings at this time, but look pretty good. So keep an eye out for those if that's something that interests you. Last week, RC4Wheel Drive re-entered the small scale market with a new offering, the TF2 124 scale. Now it's still called a TF2, even though this is the first version of this one. There was no Trail Finder 124. They're just going right TF2 124 scale. Now this came out, it does have a few little interesting things about it. For one, it doesn't use the most popular wheel size for 124 scale trucks, which RC4Wheel Drive makes a ton of. 1-inch size wheels are what is most popular in the 124 scale scene, and they went with 0.7s. An odd choice, but they likely scaled the body a certain way and they needed to have a tire and wheel combo that fit and cleared, so they compromised. The suspension on this truck is a 4-link with coilovers, unlike the 1/10 scale Trailfinder 2, which is leaf sprung. Definitely a much easier decision to go that route and make this truck have the possibility of performance at the very least. But speaking of performance, in some of the reviews, it was painfully obvious that this truck is not a real performer. Out of the box, it is very underpowered, so much so that it cannot put itself onto very simple objects. But there is an upgraded motor in the box that you can put in to make it a little bit better. Still doesn't have just performance oozing from it. It's just kind of getting by. Not the strongest offering to enter the 124 scale scene with. The hard body that comes on the truck is probably the shining piece of it. The plastic looks a little shiny, kind of toyish compared to some of their other hard bodies. It is a much different scale, so maybe that's just how that's going to be. But it does have an interior in it, which is nice. There are no body clips showing through the body. It mounts with Velcro that just pops on top. It does look like it can then easily pop off as well, but there is additional Velcro supplied in the box also. So some things that they tried to give you extras or replacements of to try and make up for whatever the issues that they were having. But overall, this is something that if you just really want a hard body 124 scale and you can put up with the rest of it until you upgrade or fix whatever issues it may have, then this is a good option. It's $169.99, so it is more expensive than the other 124 scales on the market that are maybe a little bit more performance oriented and not so much hard body scale with interior oriented. But kind of some give and take there. Not a perfect solution for either group, but maybe if you see that balance that they went for as the route that you're looking for in a 124 scale, then you're in luck. They are selling this in 3 different colors, a red, a yellow, and a blue that is actually molded plastic for the body. It's not painted. If you're interested in these, I'll link to where you can get them in the description below. But also, make sure and check out some of the review videos on these just so you get the full picture of what this new TF2 124 scale is all about. Redcat dropped all of the information on the new G-body version of their lowrider platform. And this is not just a new body option on the old lowrider. This is a new vehicle in a lot of ways. For one, it has a new chassis. This is a different wheelbase, and the construction type of the chassis is actually a little different as well, including the layout of the servos. Previously, the Impala lowrider had a single Reefs branded servo up front that worked in kind of a cantilever situation to actuate both of the front wheels, and that gave it that hopping motion. This one has individual servos up front and then individual servos in the rear like the original one had. I don't know if this one has the hopping motion. I think that this one just gives you the ability to individually control each corner. Don't think that it has the super fast servo with that, cantilever type setup to give you the hopping anymore. So some give and take there, but one other very noticeable thing is that this is over $100 cheaper than the previous option. The 64 was $599. This one is being listed at $469. So a big difference in price. Looks like it comes with that same radio. It's got kind of the custom switches to, look like switches in a full-size lowrider. So the success that Redcat has seen in the lowrider market was evidently enough for them to make this new platform. And this new size with this shorter wheelbase is the size that will work with a lot more body options. So if you don't love the Monte Carlo that this comes with, which you should because it looks great, then you have the ability to get all kinds of different bodies that are already on the market and put them onto it. From the information that I got last week, I believe that these are going to be shipping in December. If this is something that you're trying to get before the end of the year, I'd try and pre-order one wherever you see them available as soon as possible. Probably direct from Redcat if you're trying to get the fastest service. I know with the first batch of 64s, Redcat fulfilled all of their customer direct sales before they fulfilled the dealer sales. And I know that some of those initial orders got pushed back if you didn't get them direct. So definitely worth noting if you're in a hurry. For any of you VS410 Phoenix owners with the VFD twin transmission, DSM Off-Road released a micro servo mount for the overdrive position. The mount that comes with the VS410 Phoenix Portal is made for a full-size servo. This is a completely redesigned mount that works with a micro servo. I haven't used a micro servo in that position myself, but if you find one that's got the right amount of power, then this is a nice clean option. This is 3D printed, but it's done on the HP Fusion Jet. So definitely better than the normal FDM style home 3D printer. The finish looks a little bit better. The parts should be stronger as well. So if you're an owner of one of those trucks and you're thinking about going the micro servo route, here's a good clean option. Also this week from DSM Off-Road, I noticed that they listed a steering wheel replacement with kind of that built-in thumb steering lever that you can buy for various brands of radios. So you take off the stock wheel, put this one on there, you have a wheel as well as the extension so you can drive one-handed if you don't have hands large enough to reach all the way over there, or your radio just doesn't quite have the ergonomics to pull that off without it. So check that out if you're over on their site while you're looking for micro servos, or maybe you only want the thumb steer. DSM Off-Road, link in the description below. Thanks again to Old Time RC for sponsoring this month's Scale News update. And for you SCX24 owners, Old Time RC does have another batch of the SCX24 portal kits available for order. I had covered the initial release of these portal kits when they had a Kickstarter, but now they already shipped that Kickstarter and they've got a second batch of these coming. And in this next batch, they've also added a deluxe kit, which means that you can build it with either just front wheel steering or four-wheel steering. In case that's the style that you like, now that deluxe kit has all of the parts needed to do either setup. Check out the link in the description below. And also there's a code for Harley 10, which will allow you to save 10% on that if you decide to order. So check that out, link in the description below. And again, thanks to Old Time RC. And then Jconcepts comes with a small gift to the Scale News update with the release of 2 new tires. These are called the Knobs and the Launch. 2 very cleverly named monster truck tire options. I don't try to be hypercritical of Jconcepts, but they named their tires the Knobs. Like, that's a big checklist of names. Lloyd was already taken, so knobs. The knob tires. I really do feel like they do it just as a gift to the Scale News update. But if you're a 1/10 scale monster truck fan, then you have 2 new options for monster truck tires. These don't look like 1-to-1 tires that I'm aware of, but I could definitely have missed some option that's been run out there. Either way, 2 new options. Pick these things up. These are 1/10 scale for like solid axle style monster trucks, not, basher style. These are already on their site for sale, so I assume that you can pick these things up right away and go run your knobs. And then last week we got 2 teases from Proline. First one is a Mustang no prep body. This one is a 1999 Ford Mustang. Just a iconic, classic year Mustang. It's not like these were the worst years of the Mustang, but they were right next to them. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that like this, and definitely needed more Mustang body options for drag racing. I expect that we'll see full pictures of this 1999 Ford Mustang next week, so we'll circle back around and I'll try and think of something nicer to say. And then speaking of Mustang bodies from Proline teased another Mustang body. This one, a little bit newer body style. I believe this is like the S550 generation of Mustangs. But this, from what I'm seeing, is being teased on that new Arrma Vendetta chassis. That's like that 1/8 scale on-road car. Like a slightly downsized version of the infraction felony kind of style. Not built the same way, smaller, not quite as much power, but still looked like a fairly quick vehicle. And, it was a whole new style. But this is being shown, I believe, on that platform just by the look of the tires and wheels that are placed on there. So I'm actually pretty excited to see what this one looks like when it's released, just because it is cool to see a big on-road car like that with some, body options. That Vendetta, as it was released, had a huge aero package on the back. I didn't see that being teased on this photo from Proline, so not sure if it's going to just completely eliminate that or not. Something a little different to look forward to seeing all the details of. Today, Jegs, the aftermarket supplier of parts for full-size vehicles, posted a video on their Instagram showing a new line of Jegs RC. Now, Jegs has sold RC parts for quite a while, but up to this point, they've only been Traxxas vehicles. And now Jegs is showing Jegs RC. From the quick clip, smash cut style video that they posted, these look like a couple of small monster trucks. I'm guessing that these are in that very inexpensive line of RC cars. I'm thinking that they're probably found something available overseas, branded it how they wanted, and they're just going to try and bring it in, capitalize on some Christmas or holiday sales. Not sure if they're going to really try and make a go at RC with anything even, closer to hobby grade. But it's going to be interesting to see. Jegs is obviously a big name with a lot of buying power and, distribution, the whole deal. Just be interesting to see what they decide to put their name on. Whether or not that's just a toy grade style RC to get it out there and capitalize on some money, or if they're going to actually try and push a higher quality product with their name on it. An interesting decision to throw that out there at this point. I will look forward to finding more information about this and see how exactly they plan to market it. But that's going to do it for this week's news stories. For this week's question, actually, I saw a little promo of Forza Horizon 5 this week showing some Jeeps actually rock crawling in the game. I thought that was kind of interesting. Looked into it a little bit, and it's a little bit more arcadey. Obviously, finding slow technical crawling, not exactly something that advertises to the masses as well. That's why most RCs have how fast they go on the box. But Wondered if any of you find any other ways to like sometimes just get a little bit of that crawling fix in, whether it's just taking the more treacherous line on your riding lawnmower, or if it's through a video game. One of my favorite is BeamNG, fun kind of simulation type game where you can actually do some fairly technical rock crawling. But interesting to see if there's any other ways that you guys find that fix to get your crawling in other than with your actual radio in your hand, or I guess your actual steering wheel of maybe your full-size rock crawler if you happen to have one. But let me know in the comments below. Always enjoy reading your guys' responses to those. One of my favorite parts of the Scale News Update. As always, thanks for watching the Scale News Update every Tuesday. If you enjoyed the Scale News Update, hit the like button, subscribe if you're not already, and hit the notification bell so you see the videos as soon as they get uploaded. Once again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.